Welcome everybody to the stream. Today we're going to be doing Operation Tonga. That's the theme of the this section of videos. Today's a live stream. It's a recon on Twitch, and we're going to take off, and we're going to start talking about D-Day. And the first one is Operation Tonga. We'll get up and we'll discuss all that sort of stuff. Let me just get rid of some of these introduction things and make sure. So let's put some of this on so people can understand what we're doing. So this is part one. And today's main subject is going to be Operation Tonga. And we'll get into the swing of things as we go along. We'll probably do a bit of pausing and all that sort of good stuff. Right, so we are in the Cessna 172. It's just one of the easiest aircraft for me to fly, to be honest. And I can easily set it up. We'll try to fly some other stuff later in the series, but today let's get up into the air, and we can then get this thing on the road. Right, let's get my planner up. You can join me if you want. I'm live. We're on the Europe West server if you want to join me in the sim. This is MS 2024. Okay, so we got some flaps. So, landing lights are on. I'm just gonna quickly set up my autopilot for now. Let's give this heading. Actually, let's go. I think a good height might be about 2,000 feet, maybe. We can adjust as we're going along. Okay, so that seems all good to go. Flight directors on. Okay. Let's take off then. Take the brake off. Apply a bit of right rudder. Airspeed is active. Probably took off a little bit early there, but Okay. Just gonna stick this into autopilot. We'll just turn this so we can capture our flight path. We just took off from Elstree, and what I thought I'd start off doing is, because we're going to be talking about these places quite a lot, I thought what we would do is talk about some of the headquarters that we used during World War II. And the first one we have is this one here. So this is Bentley Priory. I don't know if you can recognize that. This is it's in North London, but it was for our all intents and purposes, this basically was RAF fighter command, and this is 1926. It was purchased by the RAF. And it stayed in RAF hands, I think, until 2008. So, Hugh Dowding was based here, and this is where most of the Battle of Britain was coordinated from. That's Bentley Priory. That's in North London. We're now heading to London. Whoa. I had my gyroscope on then. Is this going to capture it? No, autopilot's off. There we go. Should reconnect. So that is Bentley Priory. So the idea of these streams, by the way, if anybody's a bit confused, is that I'm going to do a lot of flying, obviously, and this is Twitch, so we're going to concentrate a lot on the flying. But because after a while it gets boring just talking about aircraft, I thought I'd join it with talking about history and using the flight sim as a way to have a look at what's going on from the air. So what we're talking about here is D-Day. We're starting to talk about sort of the year 1943 kind of planning started to get serious on an invasion of the continent. Plans, right back 1940, we start seeing bits and bobs of what we're going to be talking about getting brought together. December 1940, the Air Ministry ordered an all-wooden glider to be designed and built. It was to carry 24 to 36 fully armed troops, and Airspeed, the manufacturer, responded to this order, and they developed the Horsa glider. So way back in 1940, there's already plans for what to do. Start making plans for invading the continent. From our story point of view, we got 1941 on the 3rd of November. Lieutenant General Sir Frederick Boy Browning was appointed the general officer commanding of the 1st Airborne Division. This is a response, but Churchill wanted to develop an airborne wing to the army, and so Browning then sends out calls for volunteers. His wife is Daphne du Maurier, and she basically designs the red beret of paratroopers and the logo, which is the Bellerophon astride a winged Pegasus. Now, this here is obviously London. Let me we're talking here not Weston-super-Mare. We are talking the Admiralty. So we've obviously got Whitehall here. Let me just speed this up a bit. This is Whitehall. So when we talk about, and we will talk about the Navy, we'll be talking about Bertram Ramsay. This building here is the Admiralty. You can tell the seniority of the Navy with the position of their headquarters. This is the Admiralty. We then have Downing Street is here. So this is Downing Street, and this is the that my internet gets stable. But this is the War cabinet rooms here. I mean, we've got Downing Street, War Rooms, Admiralty, all in this area. Of course, Churchill didn't just stay here. He stayed out a lot in Chequers. And you got Buckingham Palace there. So yeah, so Boyd Browning, he's put in charge of the airborne forces to begin with. In 1943, in May, General Richard Windy Gale takes command of what is then the 6th Airborne, so the call out for volunteers. It's successful to the point where they can then make 2 divisions. So yeah, Richard Gale, he won the Military Cross in the First World War. Now here, let's just jump out here. This building we can see here is St. Paul's School in Hammersmith. And this was Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery's old school. And in, I think it was 1941, the school gets evacuated because of the Blitz. And Montgomery moves in to his old school and makes it his headquarters. If I can bring up my notes. Yeah, so the school is actually evacuated in September 1939, maybe, and Montgomery is in charge of the 21st Army Group, and he moves his headquarters into this building here in July 1943. I believe if you go to the school, they still have his planning map on D-Day on the wall in the Montgomery room. This building, I believe it's this building, was designed by the architect Alfred Waterhouse in 1884, and this is the same guy who did the Natural History Museum, Manchester's Town Hall, Strangeways Prison, and Liverpool Lime Street Station. So in 1944 as well, in January, Eisenhower Eisenhower becomes the leader of the Allied group. He's the supreme commander. He takes over Chafe, which is the supreme headquarters of Allied Expeditionary Force. Montgomery becomes 21st Army Group, and he is put in charge of D-Day planning. Initially, the planning was done by Cossack in 1943, and they came up with a plan to have a 3-divisional landing in Normandy. They had a number of elements that were really original. They had the idea of artificial harbors, things like that. There was a number of decisions to be made where they were going to attack. Dieppe had obviously the raid to try to capture Dieppe had been a failure, but they had learned a lot from it. But the Germans really believed that the Pas-de-Calais was the place where they would expect any invasion to come. It made kind of sense. It had the shortest distance across the sea. And the Allies were happy for them to believe that. When they were considering the invasion sites, they had there was a number of plans they could have had. They definitely needed to capture a deep water harbour, and their key target was Cherbourg, and that meant that the capture of the Kotzebue Peninsula, and it would have been easier for them to land on that peninsula, but it would have meant it was a lot easier for the Germans to kettle the Allies into that narrow band. So the invasion site, the original 3 divisions planned by Cossack, was designed primarily because they also had another operation planned in the south of France, and they literally didn't have enough landing craft. But Eisenhower and Monty, when they take over, they both immediately say, right, we're going to have to expand this to 5 division front. So General Frederick Morgan was director of Cossack, and he's the one who settles on Normandy as the invasion side. He presents the plan to the Chiefs of Staff on the 15th of July 1943, and the plan has Normandy as the invasion site. It has they're targeting May 1944 as the date, and it included the plans to build the Mulberry harbours. It had the British on the left and the Americans on the right flank, with the use of airborne forces to cover each flank. The plan initially was for a front of 3 divisions, and but as I said, in December 1943, Eisenhower and Montgomery immediately, when they saw the plan, said, no, we're going to have to expand this to 5. And because it needed to incorporate the capture of Cherbourg, and because it had 5 divisions and you were having to land on the Rotterdam Peninsula, then the beaches would be expanded. This was all very well. Bertram Ramsay said it was okay, but there was problems because they'd have to scale back the plans for their operation to land in the south of France. So the plan is then delayed by a month to target June 1944, so that they can basically bring around the resources, the landing craft, in order to do a 5-division landing. And the idea was, it's all very well landing in concentration, but then that meant that the Germans could concentrate. If you spread out 5 divisions across 60-odd kilometers, then the Germans couldn't concentrate on one particular part. So if one part got bogged down, another part could break through, and the Germans couldn't will be playing whack-a-mole basically with the Allies landing. Okay, so let's call that the end of part 1, and at this point I tend to just check up on the chat and see what's going on. So we will wrap up this one and we'll go to part 2. So welcome to part 2. This is all about Operation Tonga. In part 1, we just did a brief chat about some of the headquarters that are based in and around London, and currently we're on our way to a town called Lechdale. We have got the invasion has been set up. It's been gone into a 5-division plan. This is in December 1943, January 1944.
SLP 1944 contact, northward approach, 12 decimal tree. Good day.
This is just get distracted there by the thing. So we have got the plan, the main plan, and what Montgomery wants is to be able to secure his flanks of the invasion. And what we're talking about in this section is Operation Tonga. And Operation Tonga is the name given to the operation of the 6th Airborne, British 6th Airborne Division, basically to secure the eastern part of the flank of the invasion. it's designed to be it's designed to be securing a bridgehead basically over the Orne, the River Orne, and the British 6th Airborne were to fly in, parachuting, glider operations, basically coup de main glider operation to take the bridges at Benouville and Ranville, which we know today as Pegasus and Horsa Bridge, but also to do a coup de main operation to neutralize a gun battery called the Merville Gun Battery. These would help protect the invasion and secure a bridgehead over the Orne. 6th Airborne paratroops will drop on the east of the Orne, and they're there to initially prevent the Germans from using the bridges to attack the British forces landing at Sword Beach, and delay them enough so that they could get as much bodies on the shore. If they can keep the Germans away from the beaches, it would be, the panzers on the beaches would be a disaster. So that's the plan. So in early 1944, we're talking, there's a host of meetings going on at a higher level, but the first operation that actually occurs is Operation Biz, and this is where the British decide to sort of do a bit of practicing, gauge their troops, gauge which parts of which units will do what job. And we are heading now to a village in Gloucestershire, which is called Lechdale. And in February, March 1944, a series of operations occurred. I believe they were called Biz, and they were called Biz 1 and Biz 2. And the 6th Airborne used these to practice capturing some bridges. So we're going to head to this this site and have a look at it. One of the people we're going to be talking a lot about is this guy here. This is Major John Howard. So let's chat about him. Um, he he's a guy who came up through the ranks. He was very he was respected, but he was a hard taskmaster. He was born in 1912 in Camden, and he was the eldest of 9 children. He left school at 14 and became a broker's clerk in the City of London. But in the Great Depression, the firm went under. He joined the King's Shropshire Light Infantry in 1931, aged 19, and then left in after 7 years, and he left them ranked as corporal. He then went to Oxford City Police, and he joined them in 1937. At the beginning of the war, he's recalled back to his regiment, and he's rapidly promoted to sergeant major, and he's then offered a commission, an officer's commission. And what's traditional when that happens is that the sergeant major can no longer serve in the unit he's in, and they move him. So he goes to the Oxford and Bucks Light Infantry. He's he says he doesn't really fit in. You know, these are I suppose when you're being promoted up through the ranks, there's still this snobbish thing going on. And so he has, you know, you've got a guy who's a clerk, so he's an organizer, he's a police officer, he likes discipline, he gets promoted quickly in the army, and then he's kind of looked down on by other officers. So you have a guy who's seething to look better, be better, and prove himself. In 1942, he actually accepts a demotion, and he moves to the 2nd Battalion, and he takes over command of C Company from a guy called Digby Tatham Water. Now, you'll probably remember this Digby guy, because I believe in the film A Bridge Too Far, he's the chap with the umbrella who's walking across the bridge early on, and when they're at Arnhem. So he's got an interesting story, and we'll probably come back to him at some time. So within a month, Major John Howard, well, he's not major now, but he's knocked this company into shape, and he's moved. Then he's obviously seen as someone who can get the whole unit, the whole battalion in ship shape. He's moved to D Company, and then here he has his second in command is Captain Priday, and Lieutenant Henry Todd Sweeney commands his number 23 platoon, and Lieutenant Herbert Den Brotheridge He commands his number 25 platoon. He's got Second Lieutenant Tony Hooper commanding number 22 platoon, and David Wood commanding 24 platoon. So, in 1943, the Ox and Bucks are held back and aren't sent to North Africa. And they miss the glider landings in Sicily. And this is when Tatum Water gets frustrated. He wants to see action, so he transfers to the paratroopers. So he actually, in his haste, will miss D-Day. And his first actual combat then is with Frost's 2nd Battalion at Arnhem. So, this Operation Biz has been organised. They go at it. They have a fun time trying to blow up some bridges, and we're going to see if we can find them in a minute. And Gale basically says to the brigadier of the Ox and Bucks, it's Brigadier Hugh Kindersley, says, I need a company to basically do this special mission. And on the 15th of April, after this, in March of 1944, Hugh Kindersley recommends John Howard's company, D Company. It's an interesting choice if you think about. It was considered at the time, the job, to be a VC job. So it's an operation that basically everyone expects whoever takes part on it will probably might be a Victoria Cross involved. If you think about the way that it's been set up and the sort of animosity sometimes towards John Howard, does feel a little bit about let's give it to John, the new boy, as a job. That's all just conjecture, by the way. So, D Company gets selected for the job, and Howard is told that he can basically pick 2 companies from B Company to make his company into a 6 strong platoons. Two platoons from B Company. So he chooses the platoons led by Lieutenant Dennis Fox and Lieutenant Sandy Smith. So the force that he's going to be putting together is now going to be 1 company, 6 platoons. He is also going to be given 30 sappers. And he then they go off and start practicing. He's given these tasks. He knows that there's going to be a glider operation. They go into an exercise called Operation Mush, which I haven't actually discovered where that is. I haven't actually decided where that is or happened. So, but what I do know from that exercise is that during it there was an attempt to capture a bridge. It might even be at Lechdale again, and the umpire decided that 1 platoon had fired on another platoon. They learnt a lot from that, and it's one of the reasons why they are continually shouting the names of their platoons when they're in the fight, so that they're not confusing each other with the enemy. All right, so let's so in May, after this operation, anyway, Howard is given his orders. And it basically says that your task is to seize intact the bridges over the canal at Benouville and the River Orne at Ranville. Now, I know somewhere here I've got a copy of Stephen Ambrose's book, and he's actually got the orders written down in the back. So the orders come from Brigadier Nigel Poet. He's another guy we're going to be talking about a lot. So let me just see if we have... This is Windy Gale. Monty. This is the glider pilot. Yeah, I don't have a picture of him. But Brigadier Nigel Poet gives us his orders. And the actual words read, the intention is, your task is to seize intact bridges over River Orne and Canal at Benouville and Ranville, and hold them until relieved by 7 Para Battalion. And if the bridges are blown, you will establish ferries over both obstacles as soon as possible. So I can come back to that. This looks like... This looks like our destination. Right, let's just take this off autopilot. Right.